What's up, y'all? I am Tyler Knuckles. I thought you guys could see me.
We can see you, or I can see you.
Okay, 1 second. They can't see me though. 1 second. Bear with me. Okay, now we're good. What's up, y'all? I am Tyler Knuckles. This is Disciples of Jesus's to vote or not to vote. I have a couple of friends, a couple of people who are here to talk to you guys and help you guys with learning how to vote, learning how to register to vote, and things of that nature. First of all, I want to invite you guys, or not necessarily invite you guys, but introduce you guys to who we are at Disciples of Jesus Ministries. We are a loving church that loves the lost and equips the found. Our mission is love. It's all about love. It's been that from the jump. It's been about that from the beginning. So, um, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, and then I'll get further into the discussion. So, guys, if you want to introduce yourself, we'll start with Ashley.
Yes, my name is Attorney Ashley Carnage. I am a senior associate attorney at Kelly Law Firm in Thomasville, Georgia, where my areas of practice are criminal law, family law, personal injury, car accidents, trucking accidents. And I'm happy to be here, graduate of Thomasville High School, also Florida A&M University, as well as Florida Coastal School of Law. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to have you.
I guess I'll go next, right? So, my name is Joshua Terry. Y'all can call me Josh. It's easier what I go by. Um, I retired from, well, not retired from the Air Force, but separated from the Air Force. I did my term and got out. Now I'm just going to school for psychology. I live in Huntsville. Graduated from Grassville, which is in Virginia. And yeah, I'm glad that Todd decided to invite me to this
Okay.
because I need to learn something myself.
Yeah, and Josh is a Georgia native as well.
Right, right.
And then my uncle, this is my uncle right here. Uncle, what's going on, baby?
Man, it's good to see y'all, man. It's amazing to see young people grow up. I tell you that, and as the young folks say, stay woke. And so it's a blessing, man. My name is Willie Spears. I used to teach and coach in Thomasville, Georgia. I was the offensive coordinator at Thomasville and Go Bulldogs back in the day, 2006, years ago. Currently, I'm the assistant principal of culture at Valiant Cross Academy, located in downtown Montgomery on Dexter Avenue, one block from the Capitol and one block from historic Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, where Dr. King was a pastor, of course. I'm honored to be here. I've written a few books, and I've worked at several schools. I actually live in Florida, and I commute back and forth here in Alabama. I felt a call on my life to help the young Black men here in this city. And two of my friends started a school 6 years ago for Black boys called Valiant Cross Academy. And I'm here to help them with their mission to add value to those young men's lives. And so I'm honored to be on the call, and I'm looking forward to learning and hopefully imparting a little wisdom myself.
For sure. So, as of November 3rd, voters around the U.S. will head to the ballot box and cast their votes in the 2020 election. If you plan to vote, you still have some lingering questions. I'm glad you are here. Make sure you guys share this to people that do have lingering questions about voting and things like that. Especially young people. We're not as informed as we should be on this subject, right? So the registration deadline is today. It is the registration deadline today. You can register online at vote.org, or you can go by mail, but it has to be postmarked by today, or you can do it in person by today. I would suggest you do it online. This is 1 o'clock. You do still have time to get that done. So yeah. Early voting will be October 12th through the 30th, but the dates and hours may vary based on where you live. So go and check that out. So have you guys ever had? Did you guys ever were you guys on the fence about voting ever?
I mean,
Explain.
go ahead.
I was early on simply because God has given me an oratorical gift, and I've been able to convince people all my life to do things that they didn't want to do. And so I knew if I had that gift, and if someone had the same gift and had professionals around them with the same mission, I just didn't want to vote unless I was really informed on the candidates. And this is years and years and years ago. I mean, I'm older, a lot older than most of you guys on this call. So, but when I was in college and then I played a little professional ball, I was moving around a lot, had a lot of excuses. I don't live in this state. I'm not registered in the state. I don't know this local mayor. I lived in Rochester, New York, Boise, Idaho. I was in the Bahamas for a while within a 3-year span. And so that was during voting time and election time. And so I did have some doubts, but the more you study, and the more you realize the power you have, it changes your thought process. And so, but to answer the question, yeah, I have had some doubts in the past.
Okay. So what about you, Josh?
Yeah, I've had doubts just simply because I was also just not really informed, and I didn't want to go out there and be like, okay, let me vote for who I see as popular, like social media and stuff, and then they end up being the greater of the two evils, you know, and sometimes if you don't know anything, like, it might be better to just not vote. That was what I thought.
Right.
But it's not necessarily the case.
Okay. And then you said no, Ashley. You just said no, period.
I mean, ever since I've grown up, my parents have always voted. So although sometimes when you get to the polls as a young adult, you don't really understand or know everybody that's on the ballot. I think it's important to make those informed decisions as to who's going to look after your best interests in the way that you vote. But overall, I've never actually been on the fence about voting. But I do agree that some candidates, you may feel as though you are having to decide for the lesser of two evils.
Right.
But at the same time, you understand the importance of your vote, whether it's the Supreme Court of Georgia or the Supreme Court of the United States, or well, you don't vote for the Supreme Court of the United States, but the president who will elect the person on the Supreme Court of the United States. You have to realize that your vote matters no matter what. So I've never actually been on the fence about it, but
Okay. I will say for sure, for me, what kind of deterred me was being misinformed, but it was the fact that, especially the last election, you go and look in, I was going for Hillary, and Hillary won the popular vote, but the Electoral College voted the opposite. And so that kind of confused me, and I wasn't informed about any of that. And so I was like, well, what's the point in voting if we can't get our popular vote? But just being informed on that type of stuff is very important. I just realized I didn't introduce myself. So I am Tyler Knuckles. I am a FAMU transfer student. I first started in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania, at a school up there. Transferred back down here to be a full-time photographer, freelancer. I am a pastor's child, and that's just me. That's about it. So that's me. So we'll just go ahead and get into some of these questions that we have for you guys today. So do those with the right to vote have more power than those without?
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Because they're exercising their right to vote, they're exercising their voice. So at the end of the day, yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
Your wheels turning. What your wheels turning for?
Me?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's like maybe that person doesn't have the right to vote, right? But they're informed on what you should be voting for, and they can convince people who are on the fences with the right to vote that aren't gonna vote to actually get out there and do it. So I feel like they have a decent bit of power too. Yeah, because they can influence you to go vote.
For sure. So if you can't vote, whether it be your past wasn't too great, you still have, like, he's absolutely correct. You still have that power to get your kids to vote, to get your family to vote. You still have that power. So you might not be able to vote, but you can still spread the word to vote. That's very important.
Right.
Why would you even want the right to vote?
Because it's our country. We need to be able to speak
It's
in a sense.
okay. Yeah. So I think that's clean cut why you would want to vote. Man, you gotta have an opinion in this. You because the thing is, you can't complain about what happens in these next 4 years if you don't put in your opinion now.
Right.
So make sure you guys put that in. Make sure you guys go vote. Okay. Like I said before, it's due today. Today is it. It's it after that. After that, you can't do it. So make sure you go and do that. Why are so many people apathetic when it comes to voting? Like, why are so many people against it, or why are they so scared of it? Why do y'all think people? What are the main reasons you think that this is something that's happening today? Because it's big.
Well, I think there are many layers to it. One is we're lazy. You know, when we want to know the lyrics to a popular song, we look them up. When we want to know how to get somewhere, we look it up. But when it comes to things like politics, we get lazy and we don't want to be informed. And so I think that's part of it. The other part of it is we see what's going on. I mean, President Trump said in the debate, if I lose, I'm not going to leave. You know, right. So that's disheartening. It's almost saying your vote doesn't count. Right. The way I look at it, when we go to a restaurant, we order something to eat, and we want exactly what we ordered. And when it comes to voting, if we don't vote, we shouldn't complain. And I often don't complain because I feel like it brings a lot of other issues up. But to answer your question, we have to use that opportunity. I can give you example after example how the wrong person in office changed the world. And when that happens, it's really life and death. You know, I believe all of us on this call has had a family member incarcerated. But President Trump has appointed hundreds of judges in the last 4 years, and none of them are Black. I mean, none of them look like us. So, like, I mean, and there's so many examples of that. So we have the power. It may be a little bit, but you keep adding that little bit up, it changes things.
For sure. For sure. We have a question from Zakiria Miranda. She said, hey to both Ashley and Pastor Willie. But she asked, and I don't know personally. I remember Googling it, but I can't remember personally. And it's good to know. But if you guys know how the Electoral College works, could you explain that because they're asking?
So if y'all don't mind, if I can go, the Electoral College works so when people cast their vote, they're actually voting for a group of people. Those group of people are called electors, and pretty much you have a certain amount of electors for each state. As you know, California is one of the key states. Florida is one of the key states. Texas is one of the key states. So most of the states are like pretty big in population in New York. So you pretty much have to, I think it's 583 electors from the Electoral College, and then whoever gets 270 votes or more wins the Electoral College. So you're not, even if you win the popular vote, it's how many electors you get. So that's why you see so many people when they run for president, they key in on those states like Florida. They key in on those states like New York and California, because they're game changers. As you've seen in prior elections, Florida has changed the entire trajectory of an election, and it can. That's why Florida is so monumental when it comes to the Electoral College.
Okay. And Ty, I mean, you can tell Ashley's an attorney. What a great explanation. One thing, what she said, and I agree, she probably knows way more about it than I do, but I think we have to look at it like this. What the elector is supposed to do is vote what we want, but that's not what they do. They vote what they want. Okay. So it even happens in local elections. You may have a school board that may be appointed or elected that's supposed to vote what the people want, but they often vote what they want. And so I was born and raised in Florida. I still live in Florida. I've been back and forth my whole life. And Florida is a unique state. She's absolutely right. Presidents go out to Florida because Florida, you probably don't remember, you guys are young. You two gentlemen are young. But what happened, Josh and Ty, in Florida back when Bush and President Gore ran years ago, was Gore won the election. And at the last minute, they said, well, because of something that Florida did, Bush won. Because Bush's brother was a governor in the state of Florida. Like, Florida is a huge swing state. And this is why a lot of people don't realize this. And I'm not big into politics, but this is why. Florida is divided. From Orlando down, Florida is one type of state. And we don't have time to go into what type of state that is. From Orlando or Gainesville, Ocala up, we're totally different. We're more like Alabama. We're more Republican, to be honest. We're more conservative. We're more white. It's totally different. We should be two states. Florida should be North Florida and South Florida. But because the capital's in Tallahassee and everything that happens is down south, they have to keep us together. So I say that to say politicians presidents who want a chance to win, they have to navigate the dichotomy that is Florida. And Florida has, I'm not going to say we did anything crooked, but it's been some questionable activities that has happened every presidential election of my life.
Okay. Got you. So I fully understand that now. Thank y'all for that. Sure. That's something I could not recollect for anything. Janiyah Harris asked, what do we do if we don't like either candidate? That is a great question. And I'll speak to you from young age. But I'm not trying to throw no shots or nothing like that. But I'll speak to you for somebody that relates a little bit more. So for me, I could totally relate to not liking either candidate in elections, because before Obama and after Obama, I wasn't feeling either one. I couldn't vote back then, but I wasn't feeling either one before and after. But you gotta take it with a punch to the chin. You gotta compare both and pick which one is the best for you. You're never gonna like either candidate all the way. You're never gonna like them all the way. It's never gonna work like that. You are you, and you can't put you in office. So whoever is in office, you have to go with what you have to go with. You have to figure it out. But you have to vote though, because the thing is, there could be worse and worse up for worse and worst up for presidency, but you don't want worse to get up there. So pick and choose. So you have to pick and choose that for sure. But that's a great question. I would like to also just speak from that youthful mind state of just we personally, or not personally, but us in general, as teens, young adults, we kind of just it's just too much sometimes. It just becomes too much, and you don't want to learn the information. It becomes, okay, I just want to be ignorant on purpose because this is too much. I'll leave that to y'all. I don't like either one, so I'm just not going to vote at all. And the thing is, we kind of end up like we did these past 4 years. Or it could be Kanye West is going for presidency, so let's be funny and vote Kanye. You're going to get these 4 years again. So make sure you take that serious. Make sure you take your country serious. Make sure you take your life serious, because you could be ending up in front of those judges that they assign to your state, and you don't know how that could go, or your family member. You don't know how that could go. So make sure that you are making the right choices and being responsible with your right to vote. So what happens? So like I explained kind of what happens when people don't vote, but could you guys go further into the detriment that causes when people don't vote?
Well, I think that when people don't vote, their interests are sidelined in regards to what they believe in. So their interest is sidelined, and the people who actually went out and voted, when the person that they voted for gets elected, then their interests are at play. So there's a lot of times where Say for instance, I'm a criminal defense lawyer. It's a lot of times where if somebody has a case and I can look at it on its face and say, oh, this case is something that a prosecutor should throw out. It's not always a situation where they would give them the benefit of the doubt. It depends on who you elect. So in these elections, you're electing prosecutors that might look at a case and say, okay, there's no case here. I want to give this person the benefit of the doubt and dismiss it. Or it could be, well, like I said, when you elect the president of the United States, they have the right to elect a Supreme Court justice who pretty much is responsible for enacting the law of the land. So, and they don't have a term. Supreme Court justices don't have a term. Like, they are in it until death.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. By not electing a president who you think can serve your interests, you run the risk of really setting us back years and years. Like, there are people who, based on your political party, interpret the law in different ways. And if they don't interpret the law the way in which you think the law should be interpreted, then your liberties are in jeopardy. It's also, it just goes to the fact that the decisions that you make today are definitely going to affect your tomorrow. And I don't think it's, I don't think it's anything more relevant than that statement today. It's like, if you're not registered to vote, please go vote. Please go register, because the integrity and the future of the country really does depend on it in this election. And like Bree is saying, Congress matters. Your senators matter. Your House of Representatives matter. All of those people are there to speak your interests. And when you don't vote those people in who can speak your interests, then your interests are going to be sidelined. So that's my opinion.
For sure. And that was great. I want to ask, how do you go about, because we talked about the detriments of not voting, so how do you go about doing just that, doing the promotion for voting, telling your kids go vote? How do you go about doing that? What's the best way to go about doing that? Because as of today, the kids are different. We're different now. Like, maybe 10 years ago, you could have said, go vote. We could have threw a voting party. It would have been cool. Everybody would have voted. But it's a little different now. The kids are a little more stale at 21. We're not as easily moved. So how do you go about voting, or how do you go about getting us to vote?
But I think one thing you have to do is be intentional. The reason Barack Obama won is because they went after the young people first. I remember seeing a documentary and reading 2 articles about it. I used to post these articles back in 2008. But what he did a great job of, his group, they started texting people, which no one ever done. A presidential candidate was above reaching out. You're going to reach out to us. But now everybody's reaching out. And so to kind of piggyback on what Ashley said earlier about the motives of the candidate, or how they interpret the law as a prosecutor or even as a judge, people that look like you and that are from the same areas, they may interpret things similar to how you interpret things because they have a similar background. You don't want someone in a room that has no idea what your life is like, no matter what decision they make. So Bree mentioned about local elections. Well, I worked in education almost 20 years. It's my 19th year in education. I've been in rooms, Josh and Ty, where administrators have asked the questions, why do they have those wave cap on? Is that a gang thing? I seen a red one, and they just don't know. They're ignorant. They have no idea that you have a job interview after school and you want your hair to look nice for the job interview, or you have a photo to go to, or you have a thing at church on Wednesday. They don't know that. So wouldn't it be great to have someone in that room that understands who you are? And so what I mean by that, you have to vote for people who have your best interest. You may not agree with everything. I don't agree with every black man. I don't agree with every minister. I don't agree with every administrator. I don't agree with everybody named Willie. But people who look like me and grew up where I grew up, they have an idea of why I do what I do and how I go about my business. And so you asked a question about how to get people involved. We need to let them know that their decision really, as Ashley said, will determine that tomorrow. So, and just real quick history lesson. There are 7 black mayors right now in the South that talk every week. One of them is Stephen Reed. He's the mayor of Montgomery. He's on our board here at the school. He comes to our football game. He's a regular guy. But him and 6 other mayors from Shreveport, Louisiana, from Little Rock, Arkansas, from Kansas City, Missouri, these guys talk on a regular basis. All of them are under 40 years old, Ty. These are mayors in major cities that are under the age of 40 that are changing things for their community, and almost every one of them are the first black mayor. Same thing with it's a bunch of women, black female mayors. Like this was unheard of 20 years ago. Why is that important? Because some states are trying to make laws that black women can't wear their hair a certain way. Some states are trying to make laws that if you have your pants pulled down, it's a misdemeanor offense. Like, we need people in the room that know us and understand us and can talk to us. If not, what'll happen is we'll find ourselves, because we're a smaller group, black people only make up 13% of the country. We'll find ourselves living in a world that we can't thrive in because we were too lazy to make change.
Okay. Man, dropping gems. Just dropping gems. So, Josh, I have DeMorris here. He says, what actions can citizens take if their candidate doesn't win? How do we stay active in being heard and sparking change? I will say, that's a good question. I will say, if you lose, go back and rally the troops and let's try it again 4 more years later.
Yeah.
If we lose, you tried. You don't have any, you have control. Listen, let me get this correct. You have control over who you want as president because you have the right to vote. But once that vote comes out as the opposite of what you may want it, you have no control of that. So what you can do, the next thing you can do is, okay, if you are voting, like he was saying, people that are more culture aware of you, and now somebody in office that isn't culturally aware of you. Okay, let's use that as an example for getting people to vote. So, okay, people aren't seeing our community as important. People aren't seeing our community with worth. So show that to the non-voters. Hey, they don't really like you. They don't really understand you. So with that being said, since they don't understand you and they don't like you, why wouldn't you vote the opposite of that? Go ahead.
Yeah.
You guys. Okay.
Go ahead, Josh.
Oh no, I thought he was asking me. I was just confused. My bad.
Yeah, on you.
Oh, it's on me. Why wouldn't I vote the opposite?
Yeah.
There is no reason not to vote the opposite. If
Oh no, my bad. The question is, should a candidate not win, what's the next step? What do you do to stay active and being heard and making change? So like, what do you do? You vote for Biden and Trump wins again. So what's next? What do you do next? Hold on, wait 1 second. I don't want to sway your opinion on who to vote for. I'm not here to do that. I was just giving an example. Go ahead.
Me personally, I feel like the best thing you can do is just keep everybody aware, keep that awareness up, because if people start to forget, they might start to conform, right? So let's say like their candidate lost and they just start to see, okay, well, this is who's in office. Let me just, continue to support them. And you don't have to do that. Like you can still remain in your party, still remain believe in what you believe, and
Right.
Just keep people prepared for when you get the chance to get them out, or, just get a better candidate or anything of the sense. So I would say, like, for our generation, social media is a really big thing that will help keep if it's posted on Instagram, tweeting, Facebook, or anything like that. As long as people keep seeing it, it'll stay in the front of their mind and keep them ready.
For sure.
And Ty, I love Josh's answer. I think too, we have to remember that we're all Americans, Republicans, Democrats, Black, white, male, female, gay, straight, Christian, Protestant. We're all in this country together. A guy told me this. I was a head coach in the city, and there was a gentleman that didn't want me to be the head coach. And he was a white man, much older than I am, probably 50 years older than me, probably 40 years older than me. And I knew he didn't, in my mind, he didn't like me, but I knew he didn't vote for me to be the coach. And I was a head coach, first black coach in the history of this community. And this community had the KKK march in their city in 1995. Okay, that's what kind of city we're in. I was the first black coach ever. Well, my wife was disrespected at a football game by one of the police officers. And this gentleman made sure that man was suspended for 2 weeks without pay and made sure that man was punished. I was shocked. So I went to the gentleman and I went to thank him. And I said, I thought you didn't like me. He said, no, I don't want you to be our coach. He said, but I support the brand that is this school. He said, if you're here, I support whoever they select. I didn't want you, but now that you're there, I'm going to support you. And what I mean by that is, when somebody asks the question, what if we don't like either candidate? I'm not in love with either candidate. To me, they're both too old. All right. They're both, if you're 70 plus, one of them 77, I think one is 72. I think that's a very difficult, stressful job for somebody that's almost 80 years old. However, I do like Barack Obama, and I love me some Michelle Obama. Now, I don't like everything they did in office. I don't want no candidate, but find something in their past that you like or that you don't like. Find that. I think we get on this soapbox of everything the candidate stands for. I'm going to say I'm with that. Well, I've been married 17 years. I don't agree with everything with my wife. So why do we pretend I like everything that I stands for? Yeah, she's not on. I checked. She's not on the call. She got me.
Okay.
Yeah. My point is, it's okay to disagree, but let's say I vote, and you said you don't want to sway anybody. I respect that. Let's say I vote for Biden, and Trump wins. I'm not finna jump out a window. I'm not finna go crazy. I'm gonna pray for President Trump. I'm gonna pray for our country. I'm gonna pray for my local politicians. So I believe we can't be more divided. I mean, that makes things even worse. We have to find a way to come together. And we're more racially divided now than we have been, I believe, since the 60s. And so I think we have to, whoever wins, we support. We don't support all their policies, but we support America's leader because we're Americans.
That's for sure. I just came to the epiphany that me and Josh are friends. We're close friends. Me and Josh talk about every day. So me and Josh are kind of on the agreeing terms of just me being honest. Nationally, me being young, it feels as if my national vote could matter. It could be the deciding factor, but it most likely wouldn't be, right? Just by statistics, it wouldn't be. And I went by that for so long, and I was so stuck on like, well, it's billions of people in the world. Like, I'm 1 out of billion. That's worse than the lottery, and you're so stuck on that. But man, like not only voting, but as a young Christian, you move mountains with your prayers. You move mountains with your intercession. You are able to do that. So not only just voting, first of all, don't be hopeless while voting. Second of all, at young Christians, God moves mountains. God can do any and everything that you ask him to do if he wanted to, or if it's in his will. So when you go vote, put some prayer behind that thing. And you can't lose with either one. You can't. If you go put some prayer behind it, you go vote, you can't lose with either one. It's impossible.
Yeah, Ty, let me answer this real quick. Let me answer this real quick. And you're right. Prayer, man, the Bible tells us to pray for our leaders. Brunswick, Georgia, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I was almost the head coach of Ahmaud Arbery. When Ahmaud Arbery was a 10th grader, I applied to be the head coach at Brunswick. I was a runner-up. A guy named Coach Floyd got it. So I almost coached that boy. The two people that killed him, I have a friend. His name is Jeff. He knows the people that knows them. He said, we're not even shocked. They've been racist their whole life. No. Imagine if there was a black judge in that case. Breonna Taylor. Imagine if there was a black judge. George Floyd. Imagine if there was a black judge, a black chief of police. I mean, imagine. So imagine there was a black sheriff. The culture of the city would be different. The police officer would know we have a black leader. He don't play. He's not going to put up with this profiling and discriminate. If there was a black judge, it would. So you're right. It's easy to go down that road of my voice. And I've been there. I've sat out elections. I'm just being transparent with you. I've been where you are. But as we look at things now and see how they are, it's I'm telling you, and then the example for your children, Ty and Josh. Like my son is 14 years old, and he lived in an America where there was a black president for 8 years who did a great job of leading, who was a great example for us. Not perfect, but was a great example for us. And so Ty and Josh, I want to encourage you to do like Ashley's doing. Like instead of saying, what should we do? She decided I'm going to work in a field where I can actually help. And that's one reason I went into education. So I pray you guys find your lane so you can say, I'm helping. Everybody's not meant to be the president of the United States. But Obama started by just saying, I want to help. What can I help? And that led to the highest office in the world.
That's good, because once you think about it, and actually I want you to tag in on this, but you can save lives. Like now that I think about it, forget about it as us as black people, forget about the right to vote, forget about it's the right thing to do, forget about all of that. Breonna Taylor's killers just got loose. Like they're not getting convicted. Like that's happening. There are police who are killing people. There are judges who are sending kids to jail for life for stuff that other people may not get, but like a month or two of some community service for it. These things are happening. Yeah. People are dying every day. So vote not because it's right. Vote not because it's your right, but vote because it affects people that look just like you. It affects people. It's killing people that look just like you. It's putting people in jail that look just like you. This country was founded on going against people that look just like you. So we come together and make it for us. Who can stop it? Go ahead, Ashley.
Right. So, yeah, vote like your life depends on it. Because it does. Because at the end of the day, Breonna Taylor, they didn't even introduce the indictment to the grand jury that, that it was a possibility these officers could be indicted for a case. And when you look at people like you all, I'm on a panel full of black men. I have a black brother, I have a black father. And the fact of the matter is, education won't necessarily save you from being profiled as a black man. Education won't stop a police officer for pulling you over because you didn't signal when you switched lanes, which is a pretextual stop, but it'll help you get to where you need to be. But at the end of the day, I've seen instances where, people can be police officers, but when they take that uniform off, they're just considered another black man. I've seen black men who are police officers stopped by law enforcement that didn't know that they were police officers until they told them during the traffic stop that they were police. So at the end of the day, you have to realize that, yes, and I'm gonna keep going back to, prosecutors and judges, the same thing that Principal Spears is going through. We're in a time where, absent COVID, this is probably one of the worst times, absent 1960s, that we are in right now. Not talking about COVID, because COVID is pretty bad, but you're talking about having the right to vote. And it was a time where the people that looked like me and you were trying to get the right to vote, and they made us take literacy tests. They made us count the number of marbles in a jar, and if we didn't guess right, they didn't give us the right to vote. And you imagine how bad times were then. And to take the right to vote lightly, as though, we always have a choice, but to take it so lightly as though we have a choice to kind of betray the people before us who had it much harder in regards to their right to vote. I think it's a slap in the face. Even if you don't agree with everything that a candidate says or everything that a candidate stands for, what can you agree on? Can you agree that the candidate that you elect is going to appoint the person over the Department of Education, the person over your student loan? Can you agree that they're going to appoint somebody that can possibly either decide that your student loans might be wiped away or they forgive some of them? Can you settle with the fact that they can determine your health care? Can you settle with the fact that when they appoint a Supreme Court justice, that Supreme Court justice could turn and vote to decide whether you have the right to choose as a woman or not? You know, so take all that into consideration. But yeah, I think that it's a monumental vote. It has never been a time to vote that is as important as this time to vote. So yes, vote like your life depends on.
And let me piggyback on that. I'm gonna have to leave here in a minute, but my cousin is serving 125 years in prison. Okay, I have several athletes that I've coached that are doing life. 5 actually, not counting my cousin. My cousin was told by the judge, you shouldn't have taken the case to court. You should have taken a settlement. He was told that in the courthouse. They offered him 7 years or you can go to court. Wasn't a violent offense. What he did, I won't say, but he didn't kill anybody. He didn't have a weapon. It was he say, she say, for lack of a better explanation. Of course, he had a public defendant. There was no evidence of what he did. He was wrong. And even if he did what they said he did, there's nowhere in the world you get 5 life sentences. I say that to say, if the judge looked like him, that wouldn't happen. Not just look like him being a black man, but if the judge understood what was happening to this young man and saw his life as a life, that wouldn't happen. 45 years ago, we were given the right to vote. Think about that. Like 1965, the law was signed just 100 years ago for women. So white women was given the opportunity to vote before black men was. A lot of people don't realize that. And as Ashley was saying, they had these fake poll tags, these fake tests they would give. So if voting wasn't important, guys, why would they go through all that trouble to keep us out of the voting booth? Mm-hmm. If it wasn't that big a deal, they would say, y'all go ahead and vote. But they knew, man, if we give them guys the right, I'm gonna just be real with you. You have all been to HBCU games and you've seen the Battle of the Bands and you've seen when we come together what we can do. It's something magical to behold. Imagine if we did that when it came to politics, if it came to our faith. When we come together, we're something special. And you can like FAMU and I can like Bethune. We don't gotta hate each other. You can like Georgia and I like Georgia Tech. We don't gotta hate each other. Just because I have one stance on abortion, you have another stance on abortion, doesn't mean we have to hate each other. But it does mean I don't know what the future holds. So I might want to vote for somebody who has my best interest at heart. Because I may have one stance on abortion now, and I'm bringing this up because Ashley mentioned it. But something may happen in 5 years that I didn't foresee happening, and my whole view may change. So you have to, smart people think about the future. You have to think 5 years ahead. 5 years, like this is no joke. When President Trump was elected, I looked at my wife and I said, "The apprentice dude, the president." Like I know him from back in the day when he owned the USFL team. Like I just was shocked. I was like, how did we let this happen? Like, how do we let a guy like the president should be a guy that we just admire? And again, you vote who you want to vote for. But what I'm saying is, you're gonna be shocked 4, 5, 10 years from now if you sit back on the bench now. So I just like Ashley, I encourage you to get off the bench, get in the game. To use a sports analogy, every little bit helps. And I'm telling you, I've been guilty in my life. And I'm gonna say this, and I gotta go. And thank you for having me on, Ty, and Josh and Ash has been awesome. But I'm gonna say this, y'all please keep on coming and watch the rest of it later. But in 2008, when I voted for Obama, I had a sense of pride that I never had before in my life. I had a swell of I'm a part of the solution. And every speech that I was able to give after that to any of my players, especially my black players, was, guys, there's no excuses. If this guy can become the president of the United States, you'll be amazed at what we can do. And so I say that to say, whatever you think about Barack Obama, he changed America. His wife, they were just a great example of what we can be as a nation. How they took the high road and they didn't stoop to the level of name calling and being disrespectful. And they just showed us what we could be. We can be class. We can be kings and queens. Like they showed us on the biggest stage. Nothing against Jay-Z, nothing against Beyonce, nothing against TD Jakes, nothing against all those guys. But they showed us on the biggest stage what we can be. And we don't have that kind of, but we got the next best thing. We got the next best thing. I'm not telling you about who to vote for. We got the next best thing and a vice president. We got the next thing. I'm not trying to be funny. The president is 77 years old. He's 77 years. I'm not trying to be funny, but black women been running households for years. I talk good, but Tanika run our house. I mean, I'm just telling you, we have an opportunity to change the world and change the lives of your little cousins and my little cousins. And I think we need to seize this opportunity.
For sure. Well, it's nice having you.
It was good.
I appreciate it.
Y'all be blessed, man. I hate I have to leave, man. I just got a text from a head of school. Are you coming to the 2:00 meeting? So I want to keep my job, so I better go. Y'all be blessed.
You
All
too,
right,
man.
Be blessed. And actually, we'll take one more question and then we'll wrap this up. I feel like you have the qualifications for this question, and I'll let you read it off.
Let's see.
Okay. So it says, many in faith communities are single-issue voters. What do you say to those who take a singular look at the candidates?
Ooh, single issue voters. Yeah, I think that for those people that take a singular look at the candidates, I think I would encourage them to look a little bit deeper. I understand everybody votes for their interests, like we've been talking about this entire time. People vote for their interests, and if that person addresses your interests, then by all means, if you feel as though you want to vote for that person, do that. But also look into just make an informed vote. And I mean, it might be other people that are in your family who also have other issues that might need to be addressed, or you might have other concerns that this particular candidate is addressing that that you hadn't looked into. So I say go to their website and look and see what their platform is. Look and see everything that they plan on addressing. And in the event that they are voted in, hold them to it. And this is not the only vote that matters. The vote in the next 2 years also matters. So in the event that the person that you want to elect is not elected into office, you still have the ability to control what they can do by the people that you elect also in the next 2 years.
For sure. This has been really informative. This has been really man, this is great. I'm gonna wrap it up right here with Josh. I'm gonna ask you, somebody asked, why do people take voting so lightly? We'll wrap it up with that, and then just leave it off with something that because we came into this with something we might have wanted to leave the people with. So if you want to leave the people with something before we wrap it up, go ahead.
So why do they take voting so lightly?
Yeah.
I think that they feel like.
Did you take voting lightly?
I'll say I didn't necessarily take it lightly, but I'm someone who isn't really into politics, and like I felt since I was in the military, when I got the ability to vote, I felt like I had like one decision, you know what I'm saying? Because that's who was in office, and I felt like that's like my commander or whatever. But if you're not in that situation, I feel like you might take it lightly because you feel like if I don't do it, somebody else will do it for me. I don't really, it's not like it'll ever affect me, or it's not like I actually have the power to do it. And then they feel like it's not that big of a deal anymore, but it really is, because everyone can add up. Like every person that votes, you could be the one vote that we're missing, you know, to end up winning and seeing your president be elected. And some people just don't think that way, and they may not be informed about politics in the slightest. Like I said, I'm not a big politics person at all. So I just was like, I'm not in the position to vote because I don't know anything about it, you know?
Right.
And there may be a lot more people like that.
This definitely was a wake up call for me, especially I wasn't expecting to get such like an epiphany about voting today. Like, so did something change for you today?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like when he said when Willie said something about we need to be voting from people who like really relate to us, like I thought about that because in like smaller situations, right? Let's say I had an appointment somewhere and I saw the lady at the counter was black like me, right? Like I instantly felt more comfortable. It didn't matter if she looked mean or anything. Like I instantly just felt a little more comfortable because I knew that she could relate to me. And when he said that, I'm just like, man, yeah, definitely. I gotta vote for somebody that can relate more to me and make me feel more comfortable.
Word. I think I think part of the reason people, I don't think they take it lightly. I think it's been against us for so long. I think it's been programmed in us. It gets programmed in us that this country will never be for us, right?
Yeah.
And even when you go back, like I won't even do that. Anywho, just like just realize that you do have the power. Like it can change. This can change. Like the thing is, every day on social media, every day on the media, every day on, you see it everywhere. People out protesting. It's all over the place. As of recently, especially, we get proven. We're taught that we don't have worth. We're taught we don't have a say. We're taught that we're not valuable. We're not important. And you take that everywhere with you, right? And so now I want you guys to realize that you do have a voice in all of this. It's hard. It is. You do have a voice. Your vote matters. It does. Because you can change all of that. All the struggling that we went through this year, it's been a rough year. You can change all of that with your vote. Your vote could be the one. And they add up. So yeah, you might not vote, and yeah, you might not be the one out of a billion. But there are maybe hundreds of thousands of other people who thinking just like you, and we are not getting the candidate that we want because y'all aren't voting. Go vote. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys go register to vote. I think it's register to vote.sos.ga.gov. Something like that. I'll type it in there and make sure you guys see that. But thank you guys for joining me. Is there anything you guys want to say?
Man, just thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and we out.
All right.